All right, Phil from the future here. For those of you on a limited time budget, I'm going to give you very specific instructions. Watch the first turn cycle of round one, and then skip the remainder of round one. I'm going to be blunt, my opponent plays really badly, but it does not matter. And then watch round five. Round five is incredibly interesting and intricate. Enjoy the show. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And today we are playing something called Greedy Lands. This deck list comes to us from Edison, who has donated for 2 different lands builds. This first one, Greedy Lands, is going to happen today, and the other one will happen a week or so down the line. I wanted to just kind of spread them out a little bit. So, Edison has taken some of the cues from the Lumra Living Wish lands decks that we have been playing over the past couple of months and incorporated them into a more traditional lands build. Oh wait, but there's Entomb. This is the spice, so let's talk about this. One of the problems with a lands deck is that sometimes you just don't get to play with your Life from the Loam. And Life from the Loam is one of these things that makes the deck tick. So the goal with playing Entomb is that you have more consistent access to Life from the Loam because you are effectively playing 8 copies of it. You can do some cool things like, all right, in my upkeep, I will Entomb, I will get Life from the Loam, I will dredge Life from the Loam, I will cast it and immediately get my value out of it. But if you already have Life from the Loam, then Entomb can get you your various silver bullets and you just gain access to those things. Or if you're feeling spicy and you're playing against combo, you can play Raven's Crime. You can Entomb for Raven's Crime, and then your Life from the Loams become, hey, why don't you discard 3 cards? And honestly, that's kind of sweet. I made only a few changes to Edison's main deck here. And the first one was mitigating the greed a little bit. So the initial build that I was sent was playing, I think, 2 copies of Hall of Heliod's Generosity, which allows you to put enchantments from your graveyard on top of your library, and then also Academy Ruins, which was going to allow you to put artifacts back on top of your library. And I understand the desire to want to do this. The current Legacy is so fast, like 50% of the metagame fast. I don't think you need to be concerned with these play patterns of I want to be able to get back the perfect thing if you are just trying to get out of the first few turns of the game. There's not very much control in the metagame. There aren't that many decks trying to grind you into oblivion. Decks are trying to kill you. And to that end, I added in more copies of Maze of Ith. I want to have reasonable counterplay versus large creatures that get into play. The Grizzlebrands, the Atraxas, the Caves of Chaos Adventurers, whatever. People are trying to kill us. Murktide Regent, DRC, whatever. I want to max out on Maze of Ith. I don't want to just be playing 2 of those, which I think the original build had. I want them all. And then I added in a couple more colored sources. So two of these became Maze of Ith, and then I added another, I think I added another fetch land and another bayou, just kind of tweaking some of the stuff here. So if we look, we have 17 colored lands plus Mox Diamond, so we have 21 colored sources, which I think is fine. The deck only really needs 1 green to get going, and it doesn't even need black most games, it just needs it sometimes. So I think the colored mana that we have is appropriate. Are we still a little bit greedy? Yeah, probably. But I don't think it is, like, inappropriately greedy at this stage. I think it is down to regular greedy. As far as the sideboard goes, this is where I got a little bit creative. I think all of this stuff was in Edison's original sideboard, and that all made sense to me. I added 1 Grafdigger's Cage to kind of further hedge against fast combo decks, especially fast graveyard combo decks. I'm going to try Endurance for my graveyard hate. I am a little worried that my green count is low for it, but in playing Endurance, I can play something that is simultaneously good against decks like Oops All Spells that are trying to do something unfair with the graveyard, while also being perfectly respectable versus blue-red Delver decks, which are kind of coming back in force. So I think I like trying this out as a slot. It might be greedy. Green might be a little hard in terms of hard casting this. But if I have things like Tabernacle and Maze of Ith that are going to get me out of the early game versus those decks anyway, I think Endurance clearing out the graveyard later while being a reasonable win condition is perfectly fine. Another thing that I have to watch for here is Surgical Extraction. If someone surgically extracts my Urza's Sagas, I'm kind of fucked, because that just leaves one Lair of the Hydra as my way for me to actually win the game here. We don't have Living Wish to bail us out and grab a win condition from the sideboard. So I think just having a couple of fair creatures in the sideboard that I might bring in sometimes if I become wise to the fact that my opponent is playing Surgical, I think that makes a decent bit of sense. We'll see whether or not that this ends up being a good decision or a bad decision. It's possible that I should just, rock a playset of Fairy Macabre or rock a playset of Leyline of the Void instead. We'll just kind of wait to see this in action and see how it feels. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into some matches here. Folks, if you need some cards, please consider checking out toamagic.com. I love Tales of Adventure. I buy from them all the time. They are good people. If you go to their events in person, you're at a big event like MagicCon Chicago, walk by their booth. There's all sorts of sweet, legacy, old school, vintage cards, and they often have really, really good deals on discounted, damaged HP cards, that sort of stuff that they don't sell online. But if you do order online, promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order, and let them know that they should keep supporting my content. With that being said, let's battle. All right. So there's no business in this hand. We can Maze of Ith forever, but I think I don't keep a 7 that looks like that. This is the same. There's no business here. I would like a hand that has Saga, Entomb, or Life from the Loam. I'll go to 5. I think I have to stop being picky soon, though. Entomb with no black mana to cast it. All right. I think I stop being picky here. I get rid of 1 Exploration. I think I get rid of 1 Wasteland. I think I don't Exploration on 1. I think I hold up Crop Rotation. I think it is just far, far too important to be able to Crop Rotation in response to an opposing Wasteland. So this is a little weird. Excuse me? All right, sure. Getting memed on fucking first thing in the morning. Don't even have anything good to get. I am thinking about whether or not I just Sorcery Speed Entomb for Life from the Loam. My opponent appears to be playing Mimi bullshit. So that makes it hard to evaluate. I think I'm going to go for it now. Let's just Entomb. And then I can spike any land. I don't remember my exact land count, but I think it's north of 30. Oh, yeah. So we have 38 mana sources. Well, okay. More accurately, 38 lands and mana sources, because some of them, like Maze of Ith, aren't true mana sources. Opponent fetches. Yeah, that was not unexpected. Did not get punished by Prismatic Ending. I need to take a natural draw here. We do not hit a mana source, unfortunately. Wasteland is fine currently. Up the Beanstalk is fine. Alright, 3 of them. Lol. Playing this really does me no good. I think I'm just going to drop another Exploration so that I go ham when I do actually hit this Life from the Loam. Opponent Brainstorms. Does not do anything else. Please don't Wasteland this immediately. Alright, they didn't Wasteland it immediately, which is cool. You absolutely should. Even if you're missing your own land drops here, you should not give me the ability to cast a Life from the Loam. It doesn't matter in this exact instance. I guess it tapped for green immediately. I'll take that back. Not a normal situation. Sure. Now that play is probably just wrong. Since that land is tapped, there is very little reason to make that play prior to doing your own turn. So, if my opponent, for example, had a 4 mana spell they wanted to cast, they now could not do so. Sure, that's fine. An extra land drop. Alright, cool, Wasteland. So now I can search with Expedition Map. Caracas for Uro is probably reasonable here. Bojuka Bog for Uro is probably reasonable here. I think I'm going to go with Bojuka Bog. My opponent's deck probably does not have that many win conditions if they are trying to squeeze in cards that look like this. And so eliminating a win condition permanently is probably a pretty big deal. We will, at this point, dredge Life from the Loam, target Saga, Wasteland, Verdant Catacombs. Yeah, I think I will play around like a random days or something here. Yeah, that's fine. Main deck Submerge. Yeah, my opponent has probably gotten lost in the sauce. I say this because I have already brewed an Up the Beanstalk deck that has gotten lost in the sauce. Coming to the channel soon. And we're just chilling. They just have to keep dealing with this Life from the Loam turn after turn after turn. Ghost Quarter, Wasteland. I can get Peatland to start cycling Life from the Loam immediately, or I can get Urza Saga to start winning. I think I like Peatland. So yeah, that's fine. These turns of tempo mean very little if my opponent is not pressuring my life total or like accruing extra momentum that is moving the game forward. I could have played around that by wastelanding. Alright, that's on me. Their mana amount is currently irrelevant, is why I didn't. What the fuck is this going to be, a Shark Typhoon? My opponent has Legend Ruled a Yavimaya without tapping the Yavimaya for mana. I don't think you get to undo that at this point. You just fucked up. I have Life from the Loam of their own. Okay, cool. So you used your land drop per turn on Yavimaya, and then wasted floating mana. Cool. And you are discarding. Sure. My opponent could, in theory, hardcast a Force of Negation. I don't think I want to be wastelanding my Life from the Loam opponent, though. That is until I go fucking wild and take it all. I get extra land drops and they don't. And once I know this shit starts working, I can wasteland my own Bojuka Bog, their Life from the Loam. Yeah, take your cards. And to talk about another thing from current Legacy, it's turn 9, I mulliganed to 5. My opponent has had full control of this game every possible turn, and has done nothing to attempt to win the game. Current Legacy is so incredibly fast. I don't really think that is acceptable. Alright, so my opponent is going to get a flipped Planeswalker. Not really sure that that matters. Like, my opponent can keep returning Force of Will every other turn. They are going to deck. Alright, there's a win condition. So my opponent is discarding some cards. I think I keep dredging Life from the Loam because I am looking for a Maze of Ith to stop this. Tabernacle's not bad. Not quite what I'm looking for. I want redraws now. Nurturing Peatland. Am I on Shadow Spear? No, I'm not on Shadow Spear. Nurturing Peatland is the important one. The other ones don't matter as much. Tabernacle. I'll take a Wasteland. Yeah. Commandeer in multiples. Alright. Yeah. Oh, they did not change one of the targets? How does that work? Okay, it just becomes an illegal game action, so it does not occur. But the Life from the Loam just goes back to my graveyard, so I repeat again next turn. That's not actually that big of a deal. I guess they can Tameo minus on the Commandeer. Alright, there's a land drop. Alright, this is what we're dealing with here. That is fetch, no fetchables. Prismatic Ending on Mox Diamond is annoying. Now I have to take a natural draw step. Return Prismatic Ending. That grows Murktide by 1. I almost certainly think that play is wrong. So the explorations are completely irrelevant right now. Like green mana and me resolving this Life from the Loam. Those things are relevant. So returning the Mimi Commandeers ends up being a relevant game action, whereas taking out an exploration is not a relevant game action. Alright, that is Murktide Regent, draw a bunch of cards. This is a frustrating loss. In good news, I can count on my opponent to mess up and make mistakes. They've demonstrated that. My opponent's deck does not really have win conditions. We can count on games going this long. And assuming that I actually, you know, resolve a single spell or otherwise naturally draw a Maze of Ith, my opponent is going to be very hard pressed to actually win the game. I don't like crop rotation versus commandeer, or counter spells generally speaking. I actually want to cast very few spells. I want to just make land drops and kill my opponent without casting spells so commandeer doesn't have targets. Where might can come out. I think I'm gonna board in another Pithing Needle for the backside of Tamiyo. How do we feel about Drop of Honey? Mid. Spellbomb to clear out Uro and such is fine. Endurance has points of power and toughness that might be a reason not to play it. It's just something that my opponent can commandeer. I don't like the idea of casting Spellbomb, opponent commandeering it, and clearing a life from the Loam. That's not fun. I think I'm boarding it in anyway. Drop of Honey is something that it doesn't matter if my opponent commandeers it. Very on the fence about Drop of Honey. Let's do this. I will just beat my opponent to death with Urza Saga. That's fine. Do I play it on one? Like prismatic endings, Force of Wills and such can mess with me if I do. I don't think I'm going to play it on turn 1. I think I'm going to cast Endurance as a creature on turn 2. Sure. Don't remember whether or not I have a Surveil land in this deck. I do not. I have plenty of green or black mana. This can just be a basic forest. That's mighty interesting. That's probably much better than casting Endurance. Okay, opponent F6 this time, so like the coast is just clear. So land drop 1, land drop 2. I think I still cast a Mox Diamond so that I can attempt to ambush Tamiyo mid-combat. I know my spell resolves if I do it at sorcery speed, but I would like to get this value. Opponent has the Brainstorm, unfortunately, for the flip. But as long as this Endurance resolves, I can just pressure the Tamiyo and it's not that big of a deal. Alright, it does resolve. Clear my opponent's graveyard. My opponent has made their land drop for the turn pre-combat though, so they don't get to do something like Swords to Plowshares this Endurance. So Tamiyo pluses. And they do not wasteland my Urza Saga, which can now make tokens. Okay. So to start things off, combat. Back Tamiyo. My opponent for 2. Cast Expedition Map. Activate land drop, land drop? No. I don't think so. Let's just not lose my extra Urza Saga tokens here. I think I'm willing to give my opponent colored mana. Yeah, you can Ghost Vacuum away stuff. Tamiyo pluses again. Wasteland is annoying, but not the end of the world. Opponent is allowing me to untap and make more Urza Saga tokens, which potentially means that they have Dress Down. I think I will make them use their mana on it, though. Alright, so yeah. So I think I'm going to shut off Ghost Vacuum. Now we're going to attempt to kill Tamiyo. My creatures shrink a little bit. Okay, there is Dress Down. Does kill that. Then I'll go ahead and pass the turn. Sure. Land drop is fine. That's fine. I am unsure if that is the best target. Depends on whether or not my opponent can just beat another Urza Saga. If they think they can just beat another Urza Saga, I think you remove the Pithing Needle so that what is about to happen can never happen. I will Entomb in response. Like my opponent has seen that I have 8 different ways to access life from the Loam. And if they take out Needle on Ghost Vacuum, this never happens. Submerge is fine. Blue is fine. I will dredge life from Loam. Use Saga, Peatland, Maze of Ith. Yeah, no, Maze of Ith is still fine. So yeah, sure. All right, return Prismatic Ending. Yep, that's fine. All right, so now I'm taking natural draws again. Does this Wasteland matter? I don't cast this because my opponent uses another Prismatic Ending on Mox Diamond. I want to be able to cast a Life from the Loam that I top deck. Sure, that's fine. Hey, it's a Life from the Loam that I top decked. So this is 5 available mana. I should now go ahead and Wasteland my opponent, change phases, and then do something else. So let's wasteland their Tundra. That takes them off of white mana. Sure, you can brainstorm. Not sure why we're brainstorming, but you can brainstorm. Wasteland, Maze of Ith. Yeah, do I want Saga immediately? I might want Saga immediately. Saga, Wasteland, Peatland? I want to get a Maze of Ith. My opponent is very bad at actually winning the game, and Maze of Ith currently taps for mana as well. Sure. Frustrating. Alright. Sure. So, what are we doing? Okay. Well, I will take the agency that I have and lose my mind while my opponent makes decisions. Cameo pluses. I play a land drop. Opponent will eat 2 things from my graveyard. Cameo ultimates. So my plan is win by decking my opponent. Just naturally draw a Maze of Ith or 2 to fog points of damage. And until my opponent has life from the Loam, it's not actually a problem. Alright, there's a Murktide Regent. This is a turn late. But this doesn't actually matter that much. Oh wait, now I'm not live, right? So I get hit for 8 or 9. Maze, 8 or 9. Alright, I'm gonna concede. We're out of here. That was incredibly frustrating. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I could say all sorts of great things about them, but I'm just going to point to this number. I have 488 deck lists stored on this site. That should give you a feel for how I feel about this website. And if you were to go to my profile, you could see all the deck lists that I'm messing around with, including my EDH decks, and you can even see some of the deck lists I record with before they hit the channel. Ooh. Alright, I mean, my hand has double exploration. That alone almost certainly makes it a keep. The Mox Diamond that's in hand is currently not that good. But we'll see where it goes. Since I have 2 of these, I don't care if the first one gets dazed or countered or whatever. Alright, so exploration into second exploration, into Urza's Saga, into expedition map. All of that just resolved, which is sick. Now I don't mind if I lose an Urza's Saga to something. I'm not sure if I crack Expedition Map immediately. I think I just leave up Land Destruction. Like, your move. I could crack these and play another Urza Saga or something immediately, but I think I want the flexibility to be able to tutor up Caracas, for example, if I find out my opponent is playing Show and Tell. So what's up over there? Basic Island is up. Basic Island into do nothing with it. So why did we crack? Blue white, sorcery speed, cycle Timeless Dragon, or basic planes. Play it out. It looks like I probably just want another Urza's Saga with this expedition map. I think that is totally fine. So let's pick that up. Doom is cool. I could take a called shot with Pithing Needle. I think I will. Teferi seems okay. Like Teferi, Narset, Jace, back of Tameo. Those are the sorts of things that I should be thinking about here. Oh, did I really just fuck up and not make a second Urza Saga Construct token? Alright. Found it. Sure. Cast this now? And cast this now. Put Life from the Loam in Graveyard. My guess is my opponent has enough basics that it doesn't make sense to start ghost quartering these things immediately. Alright, but they don't have any more lands currently. Urza Saga ticks up. Saga, Forest. Yeah, and yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of how I expect the control matchup to go when my opponent is not playing a deck like in the previous round. I have not seen very much of my opponent's deck, which makes it a little hard to sideboard here. Like, we've seen some basic lands and a Timeless Dragon. So, slow control deck is the answer. Like, it's probably reasonable to assume Planeswalkers and doing things accordingly is fine. It's probably okay to assume that there is a back to basics style card in this deck list, and that boarding an extra Haywire Might is probably fine. I'm going to get rid of the Raven's Crime. I think I'm going to get rid of the Crop Rotation because counter spells. That gives me 4 of these 5 slots already. I think I'll go down 1 Entomb. 2 Entombs. Just anticipating some graveyard hate of some kind, be it surgical or ghost vacuum. This seems fine. Bringing in the extra Haywire Might is also fine versus Ghost Vacuum if my opponent is playing that. This is perfectly fine. I don't think I get rid of the Exploration Urza Saga hand. And we've got an Endurance. So, Exploration. Snap! Force of Negation. Which means that I am playing fair with Urza Saga on turn 2, rather than unfair with it on turn 1. Hopefully that's still fine. What do you have? Yes, absolutely. I look forward to my opponent making me draw 3 cards. I am probably the better deck under a standstill. I think my Urza Saga will end up outpacing Timeless Dragon. This only gets to be a 4/4. Tabernacle is interesting. Yeah. Tabernacle is not something I'm interested in playing for a little while. There's 4th land drop, so my opponent can put their Timeless Dragon into play. It's perfectly fine. I just lazy person do this now. So this is a 1/1. That's also interesting. Now these are 2/2s. I think I just get the map. That just represents another Urza Saga. Because we're not in a hurry. My opponent has literally told us to take our time. Opponent has red mana. And we're chilling. This is very good. Very, very good. So we'll map. Pick up a new Urza Saga. Play a new Urza Saga. And pass the turn. I really want an Exploration. But we don't get that right now. Yeah, that's not bad. Not good either, but it's not bad. I'll just play a Wasteland and pass. I think I am interested in wastelanding my opponent's Volcanic Island. Do that on their turn, though. No reason to do it on my own turn. That's a tapped Mystic Sanctuary. Notably tapped because I wastelanded that Volcanic Island. So we'll Saga. Now, we will Saga again. These are 4/4s. About to be 5/5s. I can use this to exile Standstill if things get a little weird. I think I'm just into Maze of Ith here in case combat gets wonky for some reason. But let's do this. Send in for 15. Opponent takes a chump, which is fine. Takes 10 damage. I'll pass turn. Would you like me to draw 3 cards? No. Would you like me to draw 3 cards now? I draw 3 cards. Can't destroy my own stuff with this. I am going to cast an Entomb here. I just put a card that I don't want to draw into my graveyard. So, Wasteland, for example, is something that I don't want to draw. Now this can resolve. Wrath of the Skies would be devastating. Yep, okay. That's frustrating. And in all those cards, I did not hit either Mox Diamond or a Forest. That means I'm not really casting a lot of these cards. Hey, Levy. Rather than discard, I will Endurance my opponent's graveyard, just in case that raw count matters for some reason. And then we're just going to be chilling for a little while. In a way that's probably not favorable for me. So I actually want to block here, oddly, because it makes it easier for Drop of Honey to kill Harbinger of the Seas. It's a little weird because, like, then Standstill is better against me, but it's not like I'm casting my spells anyway. Weird Narset art. Must be a Bloomborough thing. Prismatic Ending is very frustrating. So now there's going to be a very long time with no relevant game actions taken on my side. My opponent might take roughly 10 more turns after this one to clock me out with a Harbinger of the Seas, and it might work. Alright, they did find a Standstill. That's fine. I'm at 20. Order? They drew me into my basic forest? Multiple drops of honey? Alright. Well, if we cast one, it'll eat Prismatic Ending. Or get to Fairy Bounced or whatever. But I am playing Magic again. Specifically because my opponent drew me 3 cards. And I very much did not have to. So, thanks for that, I guess. 18. More Drop of Honey. Fantastic. We'll keep playing these till they stick. Eat land and pass. So my opponent can Teferi bounce this out of play twice and dig towards a counter spell for it, but I do just have 2 of them, so you know. Drop of honey. This one eats a Force of Will, that's fine. Do I need to make a land drop for any reason? I guess hand size is a real concern if my opponent is going to randomly draw me 3 cards. Got a Brainstorm. I'll take 2 from this attack. We will play another drop of honey. There's another Force of Will. The possibility of being 10 turn clocked by a Harbinger of the Seas is real. And Teferi pluses. Brainstorm happens. Plateau. Sure. Yeah. Notably, I could cast Life from the Loam, but Life from the Loam is just returning islands that die immediately when I play them. So I don't know that it is necessary to do so. I guess I can treat it like a bait spell, but I give up being able to answer the graveyard if that's something that matters. Or let's treat it as a bait spell. Now, the hand size problem is real, though. I guess it's fine. Alright, Saga Wasteland. Yeah. Drop a Wasteland. Drop a Wasteland. Drop a Wasteland. Moto. Alright, there we go. What was that? The fair. Oh, hold up. Turn off auto yields. My cards are back online. So my opponent is presumably about to cast a 4th Aerlingas that just kills me. I can't Endurance in response. I can Maze of Ith 1, so there's 14 damage, that reduces it to 12 damage. I can Lair of the Hydra block 1, that reduces it to 10 damage. That is unfortunately still lethal. Assuming my opponent attacks with all of it, which I imagine they're doing. So block 1, Maze 1. I can't cast spells, so I don't know what I would be drawing into. Teferi fucks that up, but my other things aren't doing me anything here. Not Dredge. And Mox Diamond would have been my next draw for Endurance. Alright, I am dead. That Wrath of the Skies was very unfortunate. So I think I like what I am doing here in terms of sideboarding. We'll just go ahead and resubmit. This is fine. The Mox Diamond is a little awkward, because if I play it out immediately, I can potentially not be making tokens with Urza Saga on turn 2 if my opponent just Prismatic Endings away Mox Diamond. So I think I'm not going for Urza Saga on turn 1. Flooded Strand, sure. Now we'll get Urza Saga going. Notably, I do just have basic forest this time. A Harbinger of the Seas isn't fully going to catch me off guard. That's annoying, but not the end of the world. You just have another Urza Saga naturally. Lol. Alright. Well, that attempts to find life from the Loam. Opponent's taking a game action of their own here. That is a standstill. Entomb in response. Get life from the Loam. Reg life from the Loam. Set up Bojuka standstill. Seems fine. I'm willing to give my opponent a land. I can also just Bojuka this now. And Entomb in my own upkeep. I think I'm fine with that. So let's kill standstill. Opponent gets a land. Don't punish me with Spell Pierce. Nice. Get life from the Loam. Dredge life from the Loam. Cast Mox Diamond. Discarding maybe Ghost Quarter? Saga. The last one doesn't matter very much. Bojuka. Cast. It works. We will play an Urza Saga. Now this game my opponent has Tundra. So their own Harbinger of the Seas are definitely scarier for them. I still think you play it if you find it, because shutting down Urza Saga is such a big deal. Cycle Timeless Dragon. That gives a shuffle for that Brainstorm. Just another Tundra, just fully leaning in, not taking the basic. I don't think I dredge this turn. Finding Wasteland's okay. Finding Bojuka Bog's okay. I'd rather just find an Exploration right now. Haywire Might is perfectly fine. I'm going to go ahead and put that into play. I think I'll put a Nurturing Peatland into play. Then I have Activate Urza Saga and Activate Haywire Might up at the same time. Rainstorm. So here is potentially a basic Plains. No, it is Narset instead. Opponent presumably digging for a Swords to Plowshares to remove this first Urza Saga token. That is a miss on Narset. Oh, yeah? Raw. I don't think I'm dredging. Tabernacle, not really what I'm looking for. So let's go bam and bam. I think I like Expedition map here. So let's go to combat. Let's see if Narset dies. Yeah, Narset does die. Now we are going to go ahead and crack this. The size of the constructs is not super relevant here. Bojuka Bog and Wasteland are both great gets. I think I'm going to choose Bojuka Bog. So let's just bog that Timeless Dragon in case that was the way that my opponent was going to stabilize the board. Wrath of the Skies style cards still will be very good. Not immediately. Cool. Fine with dredging. I think we're fine with dredging. We do hit Wasteland. That's fantastic. I think I am fine taking game actions pre-combat. Target Wasteland, Urza's Saga, Urborg? I tapped this wrong. I don't think it matters, but I tapped that wrong. That is a Force of Negation, so that is permanently answered. Go to combat and attack my opponent for 9 here. Yeah. Opponent goes to 9, so this is lethal on board. I just want to draw a card. Yeah. Put in Urborg. I'm fine playing that as a land drop. I think I'm not going to show the other Urza's Saga until after my opponent deals with this. That is Wrath of the Skies, unfortunately. So this destroys enchantments, notably. Enchantment, which is why I have not been playing this out immediately. I'll lose Mox Diamond here as well. Not a big deal. So I'll take a draw. Maze of Ith is whatever. Urza Saga is very actively good. It's possible that I should be Bosejuing my opponent's Volcanic Island. That is occurring. My opponent has no mana, no white or red mana currently. I'm not sure that that matters right now. I will make some land drops. So then this is going to kind of turn into last game, except my opponent's mana is considerably worse. 19. I will take draw steps. This is fine. I probably preemptively put this on Teferi because I know that Drop of Honey matters. I don't think I played a land there. Like, Drop of Honey is just my easiest way to get rid of Harbinger of the Seas, and I don't want my opponent to just keep bouncing that out of play while having tempo. Well, I say tempo, but it's 2 damage at a time. This means that I can cast an Endurance if I draw one. Take 2 more. 15. I will cast a Life from the Loam. Wasteland. Maze of Ith. Actually, I probably just get like Saga, Wasteland. Card is irrelevant. This is mostly just giving me Mox Diamond fodder, if I'm being honest. I'm also starting to have clock concerns, just in terms of time. Okay, I'm gonna cast this. Now I'll name Narset. Shut off my opponent's Planeswalkers. I'll put a Tabernacle into play. That's fine, because I can discard Urza Saga to Mox Diamond. Take 2. 11. Cycle Timeless Dragon. Sure. That gets my opponent a Plains. Then my opponent can do this. I think at this point my opponent has enough on board that I can go ahead and just concede. We are losing 2 control decks that in the past I would have felt like were very good matchups. I'm not sure exactly what that says. I am definitely feeling the loss of like the 8 mulch style cards and the Living Wish in terms of giving me gas to power through here. All right, we have a really weird hand here. We have Exploration, which is a great card. We have Raven's Crime without Life from the Loam, and we have a Blind Pithing Needle, which is probably not the best. I don't think this is a keepable legacy hand. The 6-card hand is not reasonable either, unfortunately. This just has literal 0 game plan. We will be going to 5. The 5-card hand is fine. So I think Tabernacle is something that I can find later. Nurturing Peatland is not particularly important to this hand. I am going to keep the Entomb. The Entomb can supercharge Life from the Loam or be a second copy of Life from the Loam if we randomly run into something like Force of Negation. That's a little scary. It is no longer scary. So, yeah, fetch basic land, Mox Diamond, discard Yavimaya, Life from the Loam. Actually, can I win game 1 versus Blood Moon? Yes, but I can't win game 1 versus Magus of the Moon. Fable's fine. So dredge this. Hit Raven's Crime. I could just straight up Raven's Crime my opponent a few times here. I want to get Wasteland going. I can't. Maze of Ith is really good. I can Entomb for that. Sure. Let's Raven's Crime. Target you. Pay black. Discard a land. There's a Spirit Guide. I could pick up Bojuka here. Bojuing Fable is not nothing. I can just do that next turn, though. Get another black. Black. Raven's Crime. Target you. Discard Bayou. I'll set a stop on my own upkeep in case I need that. So we've made our opponent's Fable more awkward. I'm going to take 2 here. Stripping my opponent's mana is not the best right now because they just have this token producer for that. Kind of see where this turn cycle goes. I may need to Entomb for something specific. Alright. If I have a main deck Pithing Needle, I could theoretically hit for that. Let's dredge and see where that goes. Goes to Urza's Saga. The Raven's Crime doesn't really make sense against the One Ring anymore. I think this is where I Entomb. Tabernacle is pretty annoying. Maze of Ith is pretty annoying. Wasteland I don't think matters anymore. Tabernacle. Let's go Tabernacle. Bojuka to hand. The last one doesn't matter that much. I don't think it's Urza's Saga. Like a Yavimaya. So yeah. We're going to play Tabernacle as a nuisance. So now the Goblin Shaman essentially pays for itself with the treasure token that it makes. I can Bojuka away Fable of the Mirrorbreaker in the next turn cycle while trying to hit Maze of Ith style cards to deal with the creatures that are coming. Maybe take a natural draw on my next turn. Randomly hitting Exploration or Drop of Honey is very, very, very good. But the looks at Maze of Ith matter a lot in terms of my long-term prospects for this game. Board options for this matchup are not going to be the best. I can pick up 2 Force of Vigors and a Haywire Might. Maybe play Pithing Needle for the One Ring. Opponent's apparently got something difficult to think about. Sure. Broadside is scary. Broadside represents a lot of damage. My opponent could just throw a One Ring at me here for 6. Same deal. That's very bad. That's very, very bad. So that outpaces my Tabernacle Prison plan handily. So now Maze of Ith doesn't matter versus Broadside. Broadside just throws at me for lethal next turn. I need to randomly draw a Pithing Needle. That's not great. That is an Exploration. I can Bojuka this, take 4 in combat plus another 6. Yeah. Broadside outpaced me savagely at that. Alright, this for Blood Moon, this for the One Ring and Broadside, this for Blood Moon, this for Duders. Raven's Crime is out. Some portion of the time my opponent leylines me and Entomb gets worse. Really hard for me to win through Blood Moon effects since literally all of my win conditions are on lands unless I board in Endurance, which is a green card, which is awkward. Make a land swap for a land swap here. Then I think I'm getting rid of Crop Rotation. I think I need the effective extra copies of Life from the Loam. That's really the only unfair thing that I'm doing. Alright. And has an Exploration and a Life from the Loam and a Tabernacle. That is an okay combination of cards. Opponent mulliganing very, very aggressively here. Notably, if they open up on a Leyline of the Void, I'm kind of fucked. They do not, which is great. So we will Forest, Exploration. But I think I want access to black mana or Entomb. Ancient Tomb, mana acceleration. Alright, a creature that is taxed by Tabernacle is okay for us. And it is going to, scale up on its own. I boarded out Caracas sort of humorously. I think I want Maze of Ith. I think that's where I am going. Let's do a Tabernacle and this land. Cast Entomb at the end of my opponent's turn. Give myself a little bit more flexibility here. It's possible I end up getting Wasteland if my opponent does not make another land drop. Okay, there are Leyline of the Voids, which is horrifying. Alright, there is more mana. That is the One Ring. So my opponent gets to draw some cards. So I will Entomb. We'll pick up Maze of Ith. Stop the offense here. Take a natural draw. Sagas, whatever. I will Life from the Loam. Play Maze of Ith and Urza's Saga. I think I'm probably just going to lose to my opponent drawing a Blood Moon effect. It's possible that my opponent impacts their own life total enough with Ancient Tomb and the One Ring that Urza Saga and Lair of the Hydra could actually be competitive in finishing off my opponent. That's actually quite awkward for my opponent. Wonder if I had a way to sequence my turn so that I do a tiny bit of chip damage with Lair of the Hydra. I go like green and 1, cast Life from a Loam. No. Okay, so they're going to take 2 to keep their creature. So something like Broadside coming down is scary. Something like Blood Moon coming down is scary. Yeah, that's a Blood Moon. So that kills this and shuts off both of these. That's very bad, because that is all of my win conditions simultaneously. So now I think I just get soloed by this creature, and these stop dealing damage to my opponent as well. So I can Life from the Loam for multiple looks at Bojuka, or I can take a random draw, in which case Haywire Mites are live to answer Blood Moon. And I can draw Force of Vigor plus green card over 2 turns. I think I am taking real draws. That is another Life from the Loam, which is very bad. I will pick up an Urza's Saga, and I can't play either one of my lands. Opponent goes to 7. I have to draw an answer to Blood Moon, or I am dead. I still also might just die to Broadside. I realistically die to a lot of stuff here. It takes 6 on this attack. Yeah, my opponent gets a Broadside. That Broadside kills me next turn. Just on attack, and I don't really remove creatures at a reasonable pace. Oh, it's a Caves of Chaos adventure. I am very, very dead for that. GG's. Feels like it's probably a keep. It's not perfect. It's pretty reliant on Life from the Loam to do its thing. Force of Negation specifically will handily beat this hand. I've got Maze of Ith for a fair creature deck, which there's a good chance this is going to be. So, don't want extra Entombs here. That card is quite bad right now. Is there any world where I forest crop rotation, get black mana, Entomb something? I don't really think I need to do that, but I'm going to leave up the possibility of it in case my opponent just drops Ajani on this next turn. So this is probably either a red-white or Mardu initiative deck if I were to guess. Or not initiative, energy deck. Alright, it is Amped Raptor. So my opponent, I don't know, Sand Scout. What the fuck is that? Is this the land thing? Yeah. Search for a desert card, put it onto the battlefield tapped. So if I wasteland my opponent's lands, they get friends. Understood. So gaining access to Tabernacle does feel important here. I really need a fucking exploration, though. So crop rotation. I think we are going to fill our graveyard here, so we will Misty into Bayou, into Entomb, or Tabernacle. Take a natural draw. Exploration would be hot. It is another crop rotation instead. Boy, that's awkward. This is incredibly awkward, because I can put a Tabernacle into play immediately now instead of over a 2-turn course. I think we're going to do something very, very awkward. Goodbye, green mana. I can get you back with Ghost Quarter if we hit emergency situations. But I think this is my best chance at slowing my opponent down. So this guaranteed kills one of these creatures. It kind of goes against my original plan of 2-turn Tabernacle into play. This kills a creature immediately, and then lets me Maze of Ith one of them. This is not the best versus Wasteland, specifically. Amped Raptor goes down. Opponent trying to keep Sand Scout for its other ability. So we see Fetch Lands turning into creatures, which then gives energy for Guide of Souls. Guide of Souls is not particularly scary right now, because I have Maze of Ith. My opponent will presumably pay the energy, and then whatever they put the counters on, I will maze. The counters are going on the Guide of Souls itself. I will maze that and take 2 draw. I am not looking for more Entomb. I will go ahead and play out an Expedition map. My opponent can pay all their mana to keep all of these things, which they will probably do. The extra land drops here just mean that my opponent can keep more creatures, which is a problem for me. Sand Scout is surprisingly annoying. Okay, so it looks like my opponent has 3 basic lands, so Ghost Quarter is live to destroy land. That's good to know. So I will maze the thing hitting me for the most damage. I am at 13. The tapped land Bojuka Bog is not really what I'm looking for. I can Bojuka Bog that stuff. Yeah, any untapped land, and I think I have a good turn. But neither of these produces mana right now. My opponent will probably use all of their mana to keep their friends. Alright, fantastic. What does this do? Exile target creature card with mana value X from your graveyard, make a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4. Okay, got it. That is a land that I will probably want to blow up before these creatures get sacrificed. Maze Guide of Souls. I'm at 9. I probably need to just get another Maze of Ith here, rather than getting green mana for Life from the Loam. I think we are on stem the initial bleeding duty still. So there's second Maze of Ith. My opponent brings 1 mana into their main phase if they keep all of their current stuff. It looks like they are paying for everything again. Now I am only taking 2 per turn cycle, which is not that bad. That will probably get outpaced by Urza Saga or Life from the Loam or whatever. So Maze you and Maze you. I'll take 2. Mox Diamond. Ghost Quarter you. Mox Diamond, discard Urza Saga. Ghost Quarter you again. I think I'm correct in assuming that this is the number of basics that my opponent is playing. So these are actual land destruction spells. Let's see if I am correct. So this will give my opponent a creature. That creature should not matter because of Tabernacle. Fuck, they have more basics. Got. Did not fetch a basic earlier. Discard Urza Saga, Life from the Loam, Urza Saga, Ghost Quarter, Bayou. Yeah and yeah. I think I'm making the same Ghost Quarter play. It's very awkward. I think I am making that same play. Alright. Okay, cool. Oh. They are Galvanic discharging a token to get energy, and then not paying to destroy it. Sure. Opponent pays for all 5 of their creatures. Going to take 3. Oh no, I'm actually going to take more than that, because Guide of Souls now has bonus energy. Take 4. Assuming that they put it on a 1/1 token and not Sand Scout, yeah. So Maze you, take 4, go to 3. That's a problem. Now I am just simply not outpacing generic damage stuff. So log these. I have 4 incoming damage. I need to prevent 1 of that. I need to prevent 2 of that. Let's hit Maze of Ith. That's not Maze of Ith. So none of this stuff produces mana, so I cannot Entomb for Maze and then play Maze. So if I blow up a land, my opponent does exactly 3 damage to me. I can't Nurturing Peatland cycle. This is the end. My opponent having that 4th basic land, I think, costs me the game. If I can go to 1, I think I can just stabilize. That's not great. 4th Tabernacle, get in here. Raven's Crime can probably go. That doesn't seem necessary. I think I just play Endurance as a 3/4 Duder. I'm going to get rid of Haywire Might, I think. No, let's leave Haywire Might in case I need to answer like a Ghost Vacuum or something. I think I'll get rid of Bojuka Bog, even though my opponent is playing the whole Lazotep Quarry thing. I am suspecting that this build is just ultimately too slow for Legacy. I use the crop rotation differently in that game. Maybe things end up going slightly better. But I think setting up for a 2-turn Tabernacle while also keeping Life from the Loam going is perfectly reasonable as an initial plan. What am I doing from here? I want to cut some Entombs. They felt very clunky that game. I mean, this is great as long as we don't get ley-lined on turn 1, which we did not. So Mox Diamond, discard Tabernacle, Mox Diamond, discard Peatland. I don't want to do double Peatland there in case my opponent's Surgicals. I don't want to lose both of the cards that I would be drawing off of Life from the Loam. And we'll put a Peatland into play. This is a very strong start. Arid Mesa. And they're just going to Prismatic Ending on a Mox Diamond. That's totally fine, because I have already more than paid for my Mox Diamond's usage via Life from the Loam. We'll Dredge. Cool. Life from the Loam. 1, 2, 3 targets. Will cost me a life here. I'll put a Ghost Quarter into play as my land drop for turn. If I know my opponent has 4 basics, I don't need to start attacking these yet. I would like to find the Maze of Ith style cards to supplement Tabernacle. I guess you can make an argument that I should play Tabernacle immediately, so that if I dredge a Maze of Ith, I can have Tabernacle and Maze of Ith going ASAP. Oh, opponent's got Lotus Petal for speed. This land's fine. I have a Blood Moon. Worse, a Magus of the Moon. Alright, I have to beat that with double green for Endurance. Or drop of Honeying It. I will Ghost Quarter my own land here. Yes. Pick up a basic, and then this resolves. So I have more outs if I do not dredge. Exploration is not super strong here. I will play Mountain, Life from the Loam, with 2 targets so that I can continue to play Mountains. Mountain. Pass turn. We are so fucking bad versus these Magus of the Moon and Harbinger of the Sea type cards. Not having access to Living Wish for something that I can just win the game with off of 1 green mana is such a fucking big deal. Amped Raptor. Static Prison is a fucking nightmare, so that takes out my Mox Diamond, meaning that I don't have green. Oop, opponent fucked up. Yes. Absolutely. Thank you. Ocelot Pride. I'm going to die so fucking quickly. I do not have much time. Need to take natural draws again. That's Endurance. I mean, that is literally what I'm looking for here. So opponent not taking Mox Diamond means that I can kill Magus of the Moon in combat. Opponent will pay an energy for Static Prison. Hopefully my opponent does not play around Endurance. Yup. That's a lot of dudes. The Planeswalker side of this is going to be a problem. Things are going to get a little weird. Nice, they do attack with Magus of the Moon. Thank you. We riot if this last card is Galvanic Discharge. So, Black Magus of the Moon. Alright. Lands are back online. Opponent's going to get another cat. The raw number of creatures here, super problematic. I am absolutely paying to keep Endurance. I will dredge Life from the Loam. Maze of Ith? That's interesting. I think I need to Ghost Quarter Wasteland to make my opponent Wasteland my Tabernacle so that I can play another Tabernacle and get rid of some of this shit. Alright, so that does make mana right now. I guess I don't need to telegraph what's coming, but like, we know, right? How much is this? Too much, right? Way too much. Okay. So Ghost Quarter Wasteland. Ooh. Okay. Opponent picks up a Plains, and I will Life from the Loam, Ghost Quarter, Maze of Ith, Ghost Quarter, paying 2. Now, do I start working through my opponent's basics, or do I just drop Maze of Ith? So my opponent will presumably have 4 creatures in play after sacrificing 1 to flip a Johnny, so my Endurance is going to die. I think it's Maze of Ith. Oh, there's a lot of triggers. So then this flips, so my opponent won't have to pay for that one. I think I just don't outpace what my opponent is doing with this Planeswalker if they kill my Endurance. This is just another body every turn and direct damage to face. I think I take a natural draw on my next turn trying to get an Exploration. I guess there's also a world where my opponent runs out of energy and I get that Exploration back. That's actually a big deal. Don't want you to keep making land drops. Yeah. Oh, now the City's Blessing is happening now. That's not great. So it's more important to stop the lifelinker that spirals than it is to prevent the extra point of damage. I take 4 rather than 3. I think we are on a natural draw this turn. Mox Diamond sure ain't it. I can keep trying to Ghost Quarter through my opponent's lands. They have 4 basics. I don't have an Exploration right now. I think I just take an immediate redraw. So, yeah. Hit Bojuka. Okay. So, did Bojuka a land? No. So, yeah. And yeah. Bojuka Static Prison. Do Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter. I think I attack the basics in case I do get Wasteland. Ghost Quarter Plains. I am uncertain of how I'm beating this Planeswalker, though, without naturally drawing Pithing Needle. My opponent will pay for their stuff, and then we'll proceed. How much damage am I taking? I take 5 direct damage. Oh, fuck, I'm just dead. I take 5 direct damage from this. I maze this. Take 2, 4, 5 afterwards. Yeah, no. We are just simply not presenting wins, and we are also not successfully stopping opposing threats with Tabernacle and Maze of Ith. Alright, so we have access to Life from the Loam via Entomb. I have a Maze of Ith for early opposing threats, and we'll see if this ends up being good enough. Got a Green Sun for a Dryad Arbor. We are immediately behind in terms of mana. I think I'm into that. Like the fact that it sets me back in a negative way. I think I choose Savannah because Tabernacle can be good against Dryad Arbor later. I don't really want to Ghost Quarter that. Kind of feel like I am just falling behind here. Let's find Tabernacle, just naturally, off the top. Maze of Ith. Maze is okay. I don't want my opponent making Urza Saga Construct tokens. I am unhappy with how this game is playing out. I can switch into defensive mode, but I am very unhappy about this. My opponent can like start playing larger cards, you know, your Grists, your Knight of the Reliquaries and stuff. And I am just not the best versus that right now. So there's Natural Life from Loam. I'm never going to get to a second mana. So Entombing, Tabernacle, not super important. I think this is just game over. I'm going to play a Maze of Ith. Sometimes my opponent doesn't wasteland that. That lets me spike Yavimaya off the top to get Life from the Loam going. Surveil land. Wow, Grove of the Burned Willows. So my opponent has Punishing Fire for small creatures. That is interesting. Not saying bad, it's very interesting. It's just another Knight, probably. Alright, yeah, so opponent's chilling, so I don't get wastelanded, so I get a chance to spike Yavimaya. Okay. That's a draw. So I think I just die. I think my opponent activates Knight, rotates away Forest, gets Wasteland, Wasteland's Maze of Ith, and then I just die to 2 Knights attacking me. Like these are 8/8s. I take 16, 17 damage immediate. Oh, cool. I am done. Okay. So, just in case you're not sure what is about to happen, my opponent will then untap the Knights. They rotate this into another Wasteland, Wasteland this. And then another land is in the graveyard. So that's 9, 18, 19 damage in one attack. Lethal the following attack. Tabernacle's not an out. Cool, cool, cool. Pithing Needle in. Spellbomb to clear graveyard in. Raven's Crime out. I probably need Endurances. That probably means that Entomb goes away. I want this bonus Tabernacle, despite the fact that I'm going to board up Endurances. I can probably get rid of Haywire Might and shave some land somewhere. I think I keep this hand. I have some really good tools at my disposal There's some slight awkwardness. I think it's fine. I think this is a basic. I'm going to exploration. I think despite the fact that my opponent has graveyard synergies, I just get the ETB tapped Bojuka Bog out of the way immediately. I don't want to show Wasteland before I have to, and this is not producing mana. Oh, cool. This is great for me. But opponent does not want additional land. So we'll Wasteland, Lush Portico. I will play Forest as my second land and pass. I can crop rotation into Urza's Saga if I want to actively start winning the game. But it might just be correct to crop rotation into another Wasteland effect or a Tabernacle or something a little bit later on. So I don't think I'm going to pull the trigger on that. We're going to put Bojuka Bog into my graveyard so I can bring it back later. We will crop rotation Bojuka Bog into another Wasteland. We will Wasteland this, put a win con into play, put a Maze of Ith into play. This is where I need to find life from the loam. I've boarded out my Entombs, but I also just frankly do not have black mana. Never mind. We're the greatest of all time. Wasteland, Bojuka Bog, Wasteland. Yeah, and yeah. God damn it. At least I'm keeping the life from the loam, I guess. So that's the good news. No fetch there. So hopefully we just have a good dredge off life from the loam, and I continue my plan uninterrupted. There's a green sun, probably for a mana dork of some kind. Yes. Dredge. Urborg, Maze of Ith. That's fine. So land drop. I think I am fine just playing Drop of Honey, and my opponent can decide whether or not they just want to lose Noble Hierarch to it, or whether they want to lose more stuff beyond that to it. I think I'm just trying to buy time for Life from the Loam to do Life from the Loam things. There's a Knight of the Reliquary. Drop of Honey will blow up Noble Hierarch immediately. Dredge Life from the Loam. Not the best. Peatland and Saga. Paying 1 and 2. Play Peatland. I get another land drop. I think I go ahead and dredge here. I don't hit the stuff that I'm looking for. Take Peatland, Maze of Ith. I'm fine with that overall. I think I am fine with that overall. May lose the life from the loam at this stage. Unless I play Nurturing Peatland and just hold, then I can't be Bojuka Bogged. That's, I guess, fine. I was trying to hit a Wastelander Ghost Quarter to get rid of Urza's Saga before it can make tokens, because then Drop of Honey does more work. Alright, so opponent is attacking. The attack is basically free, because this just happens, and then my opponent can use Knight of the Reliquary. So now they have a window where they could Bojuka Bog my life from the loam. They make the construct for Drop of Honey reasons. I'm not getting Bojuka Bogged. Destroy that construct. I will dredge. Dredges have not been great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess there's no point in attacking with Lair of the Hydra. Land drop 1, land drop 2, and pass. Like, Wastelands and Pithing Needles and such just kind of have me locked down right now. Like, if Maze of Ith gets Pithing Needled, I just get punched in the face for a gajillion D by Knight of the Reliquary. See how my opponent plays this out? I can maybe be more aggressive with Nurturing Peatland, but I kind of like the idea of holding it up. Opponent did not make a construct token for Drop of Honey purposes. Yeah, that's not unexpected. Sure. That's what can be sacrificed to Drop of Honey. And they are going to take that out immediately. Alright, so if I activate Lair of the Hydra, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not enough. Take a Nurturing Peatland draw then. Hello? A dredge or a draw? Take a draw. Yavimaya, that is not crazy. I could just chump block with Lair of the Hydra. Not crazy. Alright. Just send that in front. Dredge a life from the loam. Work on ticking Urza Saga up. Do I have Haywire Might? Fuck. We just start turning into an Urza Saga machine instead. So land drop 1, land drop 2, that can enter tapped. I don't want both Life from the Loams in the graveyard at the same time. And we just try to prolong the game and assume that if I wasteland my opponent into oblivion, I will win somehow. Annoying. That occurs. That could keep occurring. Yeah. I take 8 here. Okay. I do want to get rid of Grove of the Burn Willows. Alright, I found Wasteland. So let's make a token. Ox Diamond or Expedition Map. Let's Mox Diamond in the short term. Get rid of Bayou. Make an Urza Saga token. These are now 3/3s. Cast Life from the Loam. Saga, Wasteland, Wasteland. Green and 1. Play a Wasteland. Wasteland, Grove. Now, Wasteland, Bayou, Peatland. I am putting a bunch of eggs in one basket here. I think it's fine. We are very actively working towards obliterating literally every land that my opponent has. That one's harder to get rid of. I will chump block on this attack. We will dredge with Life from the Loam. Urza Saga thing happens. This time I can go ahead and get Expedition Map. So I now can Boseiju. So Wasteland, Boseiju, and an Urza Saga. 1 and 2. Wasteland. Take out Savannah. I'm just going to put Nurturing Peatland into play here as my other land drop. And pass. That way I don't lose anything. I don't lose to like Graveyard Hate taking my stuff out. I think I just chump block this turn rather than remove this immediately. I'll let my opponent get to a higher mana amount. So I will just turn this into a 1/1 blocker. My opponent swords it. That's fine. Totally happy with that use of resources. They're not in a rush here. So I will pay 1. Now go ahead and Expedition Map. Bojuka Bog is very good to just make this non-threatening. Tabernacle's fine, Ghost Quarter's fine. Take Ghost Quarter. Reg a Life from the Loam. Cast Life from the Loam. Boseiju, Wasteland. Nurturing Peatland. Yah and Yah. Wasteland as first. Land drop. Junk Caracas. This turn I am probably just going to Maze of Ith. Get an Urza Saga ticking up. Let's junk a Pithing Needle there. Now I'm not discarding. And this is overall fine. This is going to eat a Punishing Fire. Don't think I care. What if no, though? What if no, though? Then we'll Maze of Ith this. Mawlock. Sure. No creatures for you to fight. It's fine. This ticks up. Alright, so now we're in double Wasteland situation. So Wasteland, Wasteland, Boseiju. 1 and 2. I guess I can do these Wastelands in my opponent's upkeep for Night of the Reliquary reasons. So, Wasteland number 1. Opponent can respond with Night of the Reliquary if they would like. And they would like. There's a Grove of the Burn Willows, so my opponent can return their Punishing Fire. Sure, that's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and set a stop in their draw step. I might need that. Alright, that's just Punishing Fire in my face. That's fine. I don't need to Wasteland immediately. Mawlock eats Maze of Ith. I will make a friend. I don't need to Wasteland immediately. I will probably end up Wastelanding on my own turn here. I will make an Urza Saga token. Search with Urza Saga. Get Mox Diamond. Mox Diamond discards some land. It doesn't really matter what. Wasteland, Grove, Life from the Loam, Tabernacle, Wasteland, Urza's Saga, 1 and 2. Play Tabernacle, play Wasteland, Wasteland Taiga. Alright, Magic Online, I'm behind on clock. If you could get your stuff together, I do need to take game actions. I'm fine attacking for 4. Yeah, that's fine. So my opponent can pay for their knight. Now I'm probably at the point where I no longer dredge. My library is starting to get low. I will pay for my friends. No dredge. Probably do Ghost Quarter in upkeep. Play Urza's Saga. Pass turn. Guess I can wait on Ghost Quarter. Opponent has Wasteland. That's not that big of a deal. Would you like to tap your Knight of the Reliquary? Okay, no basic. I will pay for my creature and my other creature. Another exploration is cool. Let's get this over with. So Wasteland, Wasteland. Play Exploration. Play Urza Saga. Play Urza Saga. Draw a card, put one of those in my hand just in case. Pass turn. And then swing for lethal next turn. This deck is kind of miserable to pilot. Like, it is turn 15. And I am just now attempting a win. That is not an acceptable timeline by Legacy standards. Like, we dodged the 50% combo today. Alright, opponent just literally out of stuff here. Well, let's make some more stuff and then pay for my friends. I think I'm out of artifacts at this point. This is 18. I think I now have to play another game of Magic, right? Yeah, that's very unfortunate. We are probably going to time out. Do I want a Haywire Might now? Let's say no. I mean, I'm going to keep... Like, I have Mox Diamond, Life from the Loam, which is one of the better things that I can open up on. I can start attacking my opponent's mana immediately. I believe that I will do so. I'm just going to wait to play the Mox Diamond until my next turn. I don't want to expose that to anything right now. Well, alright. So, land drop, exploration, Ghost Quarter or Tabernacle here. Let's Tabernacle. My opponent can wasteland that, but I get a turn worth of value out of that. That seems fine. Sure. That secondary wasteland is very, very good. So I will play a land, Life from the Loam, with 2 targets. I think I just start with Wasteland, Wasteland there, Wasteland, so that I don't have to keep getting my Tabernacle back. Force of Vigor, very good. I get rid of my upkeep stop to just save some time. I will take 3. Reg Life from the Loam, Life from the Loam, with 3 targets. I'm taking a lot of damage for not playing Boseiju on 1. Tabernacle denies 2 mana, Wasteland denies 1. Opponent will save their creatures. I will take 2. And then hopefully I just kind of lock things up from here. Natural draw, hitting Exploration is a really big deal. So Wasteland, Taiga, play Expedition Map, pass turn. Now my opponent loses something here. We're going to lose Collector Oof, so Expedition Map is back online. We'll dredge Wasteland to get rid of Dryad Arbor in a minute. That's fine, I don't super care about that. Life from the Loam, target Wasteland Bayou. Actually, I can Mox Diamond now. Mox Diamond, discard a land, Life from the Loam with 3 targets instead. Bam and bam. Play Wasteland. Pass turn. Actually, I had a more optimal way to do this. Oh, maybe that's not true. Like, depends on whether or not my opponent saves their Dryad Arbor. They do. I'm going to be lazy here for F6 purposes and play suboptimally. Taking 1 is fine. Dredge Life from the Loam. Don't hit what I'm looking for. Expedition Map. Pick up an Urza's Saga. That's what I'm going to need to win. I'll play it and I will let you get rid of it if you want. Alright, opponent's just going to exile my Urza Saga. That's fine. I have way better lines here. Just so we are all clear. I just do not have time to execute those lines. Ghost Quarter Forest. Alright, cool. Land drop, fetch for laziness. Life from the Loam, Lair, Maze, Wasteland. Yeah. Discard some random cards. Now we just are looking for an Urza Saga. Seiju Ghost Quarter. Yeah. Play Lair of the Hydra as my land. Discard some random card. Sure. Noble Hierarch is fine. Tabernacle takes care of that easily. I'm gonna start taking natural draws. Wasteland that. You don't trample. No point in attacking in. Life from the Loam. With some random targets. Discard secondary Tabernacle. Noble Hierarch can pay for itself. Dredge Life from the Loam. Now Lair of the Hydra can attack. I apparently did not make green in doing that. Combat 2. Opponent can continue to pay for Noble Hierarch. Take natural draws. Does not really matter. Actually, I have a Yavimaya that speeds this up a lot. I should take Yavimaya next turn. Opponent pays for Hierarch. Endurance. That's fine. Like, it clears the graveyard. I still have a Life from the Loam in hand. It's not that big of a deal. Mox Diamond is fine. Play that. Discard something. Play a land. Do Lair of the Hydra Crimes. Hit for 5. And we're just gonna kind of stay in this loop. Drawing Urza Saga is great. I think that means that I don't bother to deviate from my current plan. 6. Opponent pays for their thing. I think I'm going to play like a 16 or 17 turn game in like 3 minutes of clock. Cool. Hydra. 1, 2, 3. There's X equals 5. This is the lethal attack. Unless there's something weird like Solitude, that should do it. Well, that was a slog. So, overall thoughts on the deck list. Not good. So I've got a couple of different problems. Number one, we are bad at winning the game. We just don't have that many win conditions. We have literal 4 win conditions, 3 Urza Sagas and 1 Lair of the Hydra. I don't think that's enough. Number 2, if my opponent actually hates on the graveyard, then my 8 effective copies of Life from the Loam aren't meaningful. Number 3, I don't think my deck does anything except on hands where it has Exploration. I think this deck might need Mana Bond to be competitive, or Burgeoning, just like something else that lets me get extra land drops. Like, there were so many times where I had things like Tabernacle and Maze of Ith, and I just did not have the raw land output to force through my plan. I just felt like I was too slow versus absolutely everything that we played against. Number 3, I don't think we are very good at not losing the game. We didn't play against like combo decks today, but if the main deck is supposed to beat fair decks, and we are not beating fair decks, and we're not beating fair slow decks, and we're also going to lose to combo decks because we don't have interaction for combo, like, I don't know why we're playing this. So I don't think this is better than like the Lumra Living Wish builds that we've been rocking recently. I think there is way too much focus on the Life from the Loam. So like, I don't think the deck functions well without Exploration. I don't think the deck functions well without Life from the Loam. And that means that, like, you're firing on all cylinders when you have both of these. And then I think a lot of the rest of the time you're just struggling. I don't think we had inevitability versus control decks with the low number of win conditions that we had. Maybe you need Field of the Dead in here, and that gives you a way to have inevitability. It also gives you something that is not fully reliant on the graveyard to be good. So I think the general premise of be an 8 Life from the Loam deck was not a strong enough premise on its own. You could go Field of the Dead, you could go Dark Depths as well. I think you need just something that is winning you the game more consistently, and something that makes it so the endurances and ley lines and such of the world are less good. Sideboard stuff was okay. I played a lot of it. So I think we fall a little bit short on this one. These matches were a slog. This was a very long recording session, and our games were multiple times going to like turn 15 and beyond. I don't think in our 50% of the metagame combo legacy format that we're living in that this is acceptable. So I think this is one of those times where we take it back to the drawing board and we try to learn some things from it. All right, folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. If you know you need some cards, TOAmagic.com, promo code ThrabenU will save you a bit on your order. I am very, very, very overdue for a meal, so see ya.